And welcome to another show. Don't get this twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I'm a little nervous today, Rob. I started by throwing up, so we'll see how it goes.
It's always something with you, Tina.
Well, today's kind of one of those like nerve-wracking days because of what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting subject. That is very true. We talked about it a couple weeks ago about that we were going to do this. So, it takes time, and we recorded a couple of shows in between, which is great for us because we generally do them 13 minutes before they're supposed to come out.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we've been doing pretty good as of late. But what we're going to do, we're going to talk about how you and your ex-husband have a relationship after divorce, because it's difficult. Mostly I would say with 90% of the people that I know, they generally don't have any relationship
sort of contact.
with the exception of if they have kids.
Yeah.
Which is kind of my story, right? Mine was pretty simple because my son was 6 and you have to have contact with him because obviously they get visitation rights and such. So that made it simple. But once 18 came around, I will tell you that I've probably spoke to my ex-wife in the last, 5 years, maybe 5 times. There's just no reason. I mean, every blue moon, something will come up, or if she has a question about something.
Yeah.
So we're going to actually have your husband on. He's actually sitting here at the table because we're on the road. That's another thing we're going to try to do. We're going to try to hit the road a little bit more often and actually do some kind of live-ish type shows. So I'll let you introduce.
Hi, this is Jonathan, my ex-husband. And I'm kind of nervous today. We're going to talk about how we got to the point where we could be friends after divorce. And there's a lot of things we don't talk about because we don't have to since getting divorced. And, or just, I don't know if you should. I'm still wondering if we should be friends because of, how everybody says, what are you doing? And, everybody's got an opinion about it, right?
Of course.
But we're still doing it, and we're actually doing really well. So, I guess that's a good lead in.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hey. Well, thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. It is really good to be here with you guys and have this opportunity to talk about the situation, our divorce, shall I say, our successful divorce, if you could call it that, where we were able to, go through all this stuff, get divorced, and still be friends somehow, as difficult as it was,
And it was difficult. It wasn't, I don't think it was easy on either of us. He had been divorced before, so he was ready for a fight because, I will at some point stand up and get crazy on a situation if need be. But I kind of felt like that wasn't the way I needed to play things. If we didn't fight for our marriage, like why would we fight getting out of it? It kind of,
good point.
It didn't make sense to me. So I worked really hard. I think he's a better person for being nice and being forgiving than I am, for sure. So I had to really work at it, to forgive the whole situation and let it go for both of us. Like it was I don't know. I think it kind of shocked the heck out of everybody, and it was not easy. And oh my gosh, you're tearing up. I'm tearing up. Yeah, it's going to be a great episode today.
I mean, to be fair, kind of being the middle person, I've been divorced. No divorce is easy. I don't care how you slice or dice it. Even the easiest is hard, which is like mine, where it was pretty simple. I really didn't go through much with the exception of maybe fighting for my kid. And even that, if you remember, really wasn't
a problem.
Wasn't a very big problem until like 2 years later when she realized what had been done. So for me, was it hard? Sure, because you start a new life, you have new things, you have new friends, you have to move. a bunch of other shit happens. So nothing is easy, no matter what you do. But, generally when you are divorced, you rarely spend time with that person, with the exception of like me going to a birthday party for my son.
Right.
Which I've told you 100 times on the show. The first time I had to go and I had to see her new man, which ends up being her husband, was a very difficult situation for me. Just odd. It's because I had already known about it. It wasn't like a punch in the dick. It was more just like, okay, I have to get ready for this. So, and the funny thing is that even up until about maybe a year ago, I had never taken a girl to a social event until last year, where I took someone that I made sure I took because I wanted to have someone there.
You were making a statement.
I was making a statement, and she was more than happy to help me make that statement. But this, again, I wasn't doing it as being vindictive. I just wanted to take somebody. It was my son's birthday, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So at the very end, look, I give you both a lot of credit. It's a very difficult thing to first get a divorce and then have some kind of relationship, whether it's, an arm's length away, it's a city away, whatever it is. But you guys actually still somewhat spend time together, like do lunches together.
Yeah, we do lunch after he gets his haircut. That's like my payment.
So, which was very, the first time you said that to me, I was like,
what the hell?
Seriously. I was like, you fucking what? But, obviously doing the show for almost 4.5 years, nothing surprises me like that anymore. So like, I just kind of throw it out. So when this came around, I was like, I thought, look, this shouldn't be a very difficult thing. Are things going to be said here? Probably, because that's what we do as humans.
Well, yeah, we didn't talk about any of this.
Well,
so it's going to be new for both of us, I guess, to hear it.
So I will tell you, as being the mediator of this, let's try not to throw mud.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Oh,
no, anyway.
Really? I thought that's what was the point of the drama.
Look, can you say things that are on your mind? Absolutely. I think that's very healthy. Just let's do our best, because
I don't think we have a lot of mud though anyway, because we do go out to lunch and we do try to talk through things. We do,
and that's awesome.
We skate around this topic a lot. We skate around divorce. We don't talk about it.
So how long have you been divorced now?
3 years.
Well, we can say it this way, that we decided to get divorced in the summer of 2020. So it was in the middle of the pandemic. That already kind of sucked, right? It already sucked. And then I was getting retired too at the same time. So my whole world was going to go upside down, come apart. That's where it began.
And then I had an illness where I almost died from being allergic to the medicine that I was given. So we had like it was not an easy time. Anything during the pandemic, just living was difficult.
That's where this came up. This show came up during the pandemic. Because I was
going through it.
Right. We met at a Denny's and we had to spill tea on all the things. How's
you been? Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing is we both had stories of how we had been. So it was kind of, I got kind of blindsided because you didn't really tell me anything until I got there. Where you kind of knew about my situation for years before that. So it was more like, hey, here's an update. She lives down the street and this is what's going on. So
I didn't know what to say at the time. I think that was it. Like, he had asked me to stay. Like we had decided in the summer, and then he's like, well, can you stay until I get to retirement? Like till I get there. So that was kind of an odd situation because we stayed separate. He was on one side of the house. I was on the other. And I would ask him if he needed anything or if he wanted food, and he would just, and then that was it, So it was like, it was weird in the beginning to sit in silence with nobody around. Like there was nothing to distract me because, they shut down work. They shut down everything. I I sat in that room and I watched the whole series of the Gilmore Girls.
Oh, well, that's a quality show.
Yeah, well, it was a long series and I thought I'd be there a while. So
you guys both during the pandemic were staying in a house that you didn't have to go to work, and you guys were sort of talking.
No, we weren't really talking.
That's kind of what sort of is. So you were like passing like two boats in the night.
Well,
Yes.
we were getting by.
Right.
And I was working in my office,
Okay.
long days for a few months. And the cool thing was that there were some retirement parties to happen. I believe I had 3 different
You had
retirement
6 different
parties.
parties.
Well, 6, sure. And Tina did help with that. I was happy to have the continuity so I could enjoy that retirement time, it's an awesome, awesome time in someone's life. It's like almost like graduation day.
Right.
So I thank Tina for hanging in there, being a hostess, being social, helping me enjoy that once in a lifetime opportunity.
Welcome. I mean, I was there for your whole career there. So I don't know. Would have been weird if I missed it. Even though I didn't like you at the time. Like I was really struggling, but I think the most of the hate that I hated towards you was here in this house before I left. So like once I left and that came, like all of it came out, I was like, oh, okay. Now that I'm here and I can think, okay, I really don't hate him. I was just mad, like, but we carried on like there wasn't a problem.
So there is a difference between hate and anger. You were able to sort that out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, there was some anger. There was definitely some anger on both sides. It was just, because it sucks. One thing we know is divorce sucks. Even, as you said, Rob, even in the best of circumstances, it is really difficult.
It is difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it could have been worse.
It could have been much worse.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I remember at one point you came to me and I was like, oh shit, he wants to fight, which was funny to me because he's not a fighter. Like that's just not the way he does things. So because he had been through a divorce before, he came out the gates like he wanted to fight with me. And I was like, looking at him like, I've never seen this guy. I didn't react the way that a woman would, like, oh, you want to fight? Let's fight. Because I was so shocked that he wanted to fight.
Well,
and I understood it because he had gone through divorce and I hadn't. So I was like, well, this could be whatever I make it because I don't know anything about divorce. This is going to be my first time. So I was like, oh, I go, and I even remember saying, you can be mad at me all you want, but I'm not going to fight with you. Like and then he kind of, it took him a minute, like to get that. I think at first I probably shocked him because his last marriage ended. So it was such a hard divorce, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing it.
Well, to be fair, I felt like I didn't come out fighting, but I was prepared for a fight. Yes, I kind of expected, well, this is when the gnarly fights start and it gets really ugly. But yeah, based on my previous experience with divorce, which now I can laugh, looking back in the day and laugh at it. So yeah, I was prepared to fight, but we didn't. And we navigated our way through like, you know what? We're not going to fight our way through this. And after a couple months, we said, hey, look, let's agree. Whatever it takes, let's see if we can keep our friendship. And it was a really difficult time because, you're tearing yourself away from your emotional support and it's going to really suck. But we kind of pledged in the beginning in that first fall, that was before you left the house, that let's see if we can possibly preserve our friendship.
Yeah.
And no one had expected we could ever do this. Seriously. No one ever takes this kind of path.
So nobody even knew, not even my closest friends. There was very few people that knew that I was even leaving the house and moving back to my dad's house. So as people started, and then they didn't know for months after because COVID, we were all still shut down.
Right.
So when the good thing is I didn't have anybody in my ear about how I should be or how mad I should get or what to do. It was very few people that happened to just be my closest ones during COVID found out. So I think that in a way, like Jonathan used to say, people don't need to know our business because then you get their opinions. And I was like, whatever. Because I grew up in a family where everybody knew everything. So I just like, that just comes with the territory. So not talking about it and sitting with it. And it, that was that because I didn't know what to say. I didn't have like, when you get divorced, is there just one reason why you get divorced? No, there's 100 reasons.
Right.
And that's just on your first draft, if you're going to write them down. But I didn't say anything. And that to me was kind of weird. And the people that I did tell, they were so shocked they didn't have anything to say. They just like, okay, so what's your next step? I remember getting that question, but that was it.
Well, so it did then come to the point in December where it was a little before Christmas and you picked me up from the airport. We had kind of a little argument, which is odd, but then that was the day you were going to move out. That was the day, probably mid-December. It was tough. And that began the next phase of the journey, this process. So I started the new year in my house alone, like as a bachelor, and just processing that loneliness and that loss. So that first half a year, I would say maybe the hardest, because now I am separated. She is gone. I'm here by myself, dealing with the hurt and the anger. Yeah, at that stage, there's still some resentment, still some anger that needed to be processed. Part of me is, holding something against her still. Remember that phase, Tina?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I remember that phase too.
Yeah. It was rough.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest one because that's like you're trying to heal, but then, everyone around you keeps bringing the shit up.
Yeah.
So like you can't get away from it. They're like, what's going on? You're going through divorce still? What's going on? And you just want to say, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to, I'm trying to deal with it. And you're right. The lonely house was difficult when my son was away. But I had my son 90% of the time. So thankfully, I anchored myself to him. So, but the first couple of weekends he was gone, I was just like that. I was pissed. I was sitting alone. You go through your own head a bazillion times. And there's no answer because you're looking for one, I was still trying to make it work. So for me, it was a whole other thing. But what do they say? An idle mind is the devil's playground. Mm-hmm. And that is totally true because you will tell yourself all kinds of hateful shit and then look back on it going, oh yeah, I really didn't feel that way. I was just angry and mad and pissed at the world and, but that healing journey is a whole other thing too, for both of you guys. So
yeah, because women do it. I think I was bitter and frustrated and angry before we decided to get divorced, where he didn't go through that because his job and everything was so busy. He didn't go through that until any of it happened, until I was gone. And I didn't realize that at the time. Women do process it different from men at different times. And that makes it confusing. It really does.
That's all of us. I think men and women we've talked about it on the pod a bazillion. We are two totally different animals that for some reason love to get together. Yeah. So you moved out and
he helped me.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I did.
I mean, to be fair, I did the same thing with mine and then got made fun of a bazillion times for it.
You know what? The funny thing is in my family, people are very loyal to me because I'm their support for sure. Like I'm the one that gets called. So they're very loyal to me and they needed a way to process the anger and they wanted to throw it at Jonathan. And I was like, no, you don't get to do that. Like we're not having those problems. We're not going to have those problems. And that's not the support that I need. And it was very hard for I remember my uncle, he's like, well, I want to know what's going on. And you're not talking. And I was like, it's not for you to know.
Exactly.
You know, but you can't be mad at him because that's what I'm saying. You don't start that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not it didn't have anything to do with Jonathan. It had to do with my uncle wanting to be loyal to me because I was loyal with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we realized is everyone expected us to be fighting and they expected us to be hating each other. And they couldn't really get their heads around, wait a minute, you're telling your friends still? That was unexpected and people couldn't believe it.
Even during the divorce.
Oh yeah. Through the whole thing. Like he went through he went to family gatherings that we had. I was like, well, you've been in the family 22 years. My niece and nephew don't know anybody but you.
Mm-hmm.
And you were my dad's friend and my uncle's friend before we dated. Like I knew when I knew the job was dangerous when I took it because he already had his own route in our life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I knew that I couldn't just take that from everybody.
Yeah. It was good that I didn't have to divorce the whole family.
Yeah.
That was part of a saving grace of me having some emotional comfort still. It's like, okay, I'm losing the wife, losing my mate here, but I'm not losing the family and people that I've, come to love over decades, the whole family, among them, brothers, niece and nephew, all the family, aunts and uncles, and all them that I love in the family, in the tribe. So that was a good thing because I've seen divorces where, the wife will try to cut the guy off from the family and does it. That would have been brutal. That would have been a heart-rending experience. So thank you, Tina. We decided, hey, we don't need to do that. We can be friends here.
Yeah, there's no thing. You think I say thank you for still being my niece and nephew's uncle. Because you know what? You're a good one. And I wouldn't want to take that from anybody. I don't want to take that. I don't know. I didn't even take you completely out of my life. So, I mean, really, why would I do that? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah. And we did have the sit down talk with the niece and nephew and explain, we're getting divorced.
They were the only ones that got told. They were the only. And I was like, you don't have to hate him. You don't have to worry about not seeing him. He promised to still be around. And
yeah, we explained, hey, look, we're getting divorced, but we still care about each other. We're going to be friends. I said, I'm still your uncle. So I'm not going anywhere. And, we will have continuity in our family. So I really appreciated that. And surely they did too. And, I love those kids.
Yeah, they were. Well, because their parents had gone through such a bitter experience that when they heard, the shock was you could see it in their face. They were like, oh shit, here it goes again, And then when we talked to them and told them how we weren't going to do certain things, that was, I think it took them a while to process it because I could see their faces. They were searching for like, well, okay, what's the catch? What's going to happen? Like they really, but then Jonathan, I don't know. He just showed up for whatever came next. And I think the adults were really uncomfortable, but the kids were fine. Like,
yeah, I was glad I didn't get cut out of the family events.
No.
I could still see the people and share with them. So that was good.
When he isn't back east with his own family, he will go to my family for whatever occasion it is.
Yeah. And so, that first year, 2021, when I was on my own, I had to process a lot of grief and it was difficult. And to be honest, I spent many days processing grief, listening to Pink Floyd, wandering around with a beer in my hand, to be perfectly honest. And, that kind of sadness or potential for sorrow could take one to the brink of the abyss. And
Right.
I could see that divorce being such an emotionally difficult time that somebody could fall down into the swamps of sadness and fall into the trap of alcohol. So I had to deal with that. And I could see how easy it would be for somebody to do that, for that to happen to somebody, because the weight of the emotional grief was tremendous.
And I noticed it because I had to come here to work on, work on the divorce because we didn't even use a lawyer, which again was another thing that like blows my mind now that that's over.
Oh yeah. That blew everyone's mind. They're like, what? Wait a minute. No lawyer. Are you what? Like, what are you doing? Everyone assumed she would be fighting me for whatever. But that was one of our principles. No lawyers. From the beginning, I said, you know what? I've done this before. I know what the process is. Right. We can find a paralegal company. We can do this because lawyers, divorce lawyers, they suck too. They just drag it out. They take obscene amounts of money out of the pot. I'm like, no, Tina, let's not do that.
It did get drug out though. It was a hard process because he had to do the majority of the work and stuff, and he didn't want to. And then like I'd come over and I'd see the alcohol, and finally I was like, hey, do you have a problem here? Is there something we need to talk about? Because I'm noticing that you're drinking, and that's not like you.
And no, of course not.
Yeah.
No, and yeah.
So he denied it, and then I said, well, get your head out of your ass. Life is not that bad.
No, she did not say that.
I did say that to you.
In some other words, she wouldn't say that.
And I said, it's not that bad, and you don't need to start this now. Like don't do that.
And so I did slowly but surely pull myself back from the brink of sadness. And then came the day when we got the first paperwork. I think it was July of that year. And just finally seeing all these forms ahead of me, all the many pages of all the property and the this and the that. And it was hard because I realized I had to take a scalpel to my whole world and cut it in half. And that was really, really hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, going through divorce, you're cutting out not just life, your feelings, other things.
Your person.
So, once the paperwork, I thought the same for mine because we didn't do a lawyer, but we didn't have much. So, but I told her, you can do it. And I remember getting the paperwork. I had already moved out of state. And I remember getting the first envelope and reading it at the kitchen table. My son was like maybe 7.5. And, you look at, you have to agree on every line because we did it online. So everything. And I remember changing some things because I didn't like some wording. And I remember sending it back. But yes, it's the first time there's finality to it. It's the first time I realized because we hadn't been together in maybe a year and a half because it took some time and she, wanted to make sure it was all right. So yes, the first time that you look at paperwork that says divorce and there is some finality to that. So did you both get paperwork?
No, it was the packet to start the process, and he served me, so he had to do that.
Yeah, fun times. Yeah, we used the paralegal company, We the People, which was I knew it. Okay, I can fill out a form. I spent many years at work filling out forms, getting processes done, very difficult processes, and this was a difficult one, but I was able to just keep that focus and slowly work us through the months and years worth of that paperwork and that kind of fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Property, cars.
Yeah. And that, the property thing, he's like, well, what are you going to take? And I'm like, I don't want to take anything. I'm moving home to my parents' house and I'm not going to be able to put a lot in there, but I didn't. When I met him, I think he had one fork. Whatever relationship he had been in previously, he didn't have shit.
And a knife. So, we had a big knife too.
Did?
Yeah.
Big knife and a fork. That's all guy needs.
What do you need? Right. So I didn't want to leave the house like that again. To me, that was so important to not do that to him because he had already went through that stage. And what was I going to do? Put it in a storage thing? And, why do that? So the property was the inside property was the easy part. Well, it was all easy because it was all we just 50-50 down the center. But he still has my KitchenAid
Mixer?
The mixer. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And he still has my blender that matches. Like, I'll take that at some point, but I know me. I won't replace the mixer because he doesn't use that. But I know I'll put a different blender in its place just to make sure, because I didn't want to leave him without stuff.
Right.
It didn't, that bothered, for some reason, that part bothered me.
You don't want to take it because you don't want to leave someone empty-handed.
Right.
Yes,
right.
that's called caring.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Is it?
Because some people don't. Yeah. Just so you know, some people give two shits and will rob you blind.
Yeah.
We'll take everything.
Yeah.
So yes, I give you some credit that yes, you left somebody with silverware and a pot to piss in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did have a full kitchen worth of stuff, which was great. The thing is, then I had to learn to cook, though.
Yeah. Yes,
we just talked about that, last week?
I did
think?
all the cooking, yeah.
She said she was very proud of you, just so you know, that you cook now.
I don't believe it still, though, because I haven't seen it. Like, he's supposed to invite me over for spaghetti
come
or
on.
something, but
I mean, he's alive.
I'll believe it when I see it. Well, he's got a friend that lives here now.
I understand that. But,
and he's a very good cook.
Oh, come on. Now, my spaghetti is world famous. Come on.
No,
I get
but
rave reviews
on
my
spaghetti. To have
spaghetti.
it.
well, that's a plus. See, now we know. It's a dinner date, not just lunches.
Yeah, well, we might eat it at lunch. Who knows?
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point. So, okay. So obviously you stayed friendly though through all of it.
No, we.
Oh,
so,
yeah, we
so
did.
dear, okay,
we did.
No,
I mean, I mean
we
friendly
were
for divorce. Like you obviously.
friendly-ish. So here's the story. We had to start working on the divorce paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And I was supposed to come over, and I came over and he opened the door and I looked at him. I'm like, nope, not today. And I turned around and went back to the car.
I remember that story.
I couldn't be nice that day. Like, it was not him, it was me. And so he's like, okay, see you later.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm sure that wasn't odd.
It was so odd. I was so uncomfortable, but I couldn't be nice that day. I was struggling with my emotions too.
Fair.
And I think I did that like 4 or 5 times before.
No, I only go once or twice, I think, to my recollection.
I struggled.
Even twice, I think, is
it was
pretty
hard.
funny.
It was so hard. And I remember just like, and I would call him later and tell him it's not you. Like, I'm really struggling and I can't do it today. And he'd be like, okay, it's okay. But I don't think he wanted to go through it either. So it wasn't like I was making it like hard on him.
Right.
I just didn't want to make it hard on him at that point.
Yeah, it came to the point where you had now to review the paperwork. We got all the numbers in it, and it's pages and pages. And it was brutally difficult for myself in a sense that I felt like part of me was, I had worked so hard at my job at Medtronic, like some absurdly overloaded job, and managed to, pack stuff away for retirement. And then I got to cut it in half, and all those numbers are on there. And of course I had to do to the letter of the law, basically. And like, I don't care how I feel about it. I know it sucks. Everyone tells me it sucks, but I got to do it fairly, equitably. And my feeling was, you know what? I couldn't live with myself if I wasn't honest, transparent, and just did it and do it right. So I did it right. Yeah, Tina gave me a pretty good scrutiny, and we had to hash out a couple of numbers, and it really hurt. I was, I think we did it here.
Things I never even went after. So
True too. Tina was super fair. She didn't try to take any advantage, and I knew it all along. But if it had come to the point where she's like, no, this isn't fair, I'm going to get a lawyer. It's like, oh no, then I would have had to get a lawyer. Because lawyers, they can be unethical. They can say, oh, well, we could try for that. We could try to take more of that. And how they try it. And then I got to get a lawyer to push back. Yikes. But no, Tina was super cool. And we just, we looked at the beginning of the form. They lay out, here's the basic principles of divorce. This is how the state of California does it. This is what you got to do. Doesn't care how you feel about it. You got to do what the paper says. Mm-hmm. So we managed to do it and hammer out those numbers and like, okay, that's our plan. Then it goes to the court. Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I came over here to deal with the divorce I threw up. Even this morning, I'm like, oh, we're going to deal with it again. Here's my stomach saying, okay, let me get ready for whatever comes next. But I don't know. We managed to do it. We got through it. It sucked. The whole thing sucked.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty tough.
You know, like every time you go over, you see the other person's face. Like it's so different when you're just like dealing with lawyers because you don't have to sit and see the anguish in each other's faces.
Yeah, not until the end.
Right. And by the end, is it anguish or is it just pure hate? I don't know.
I think it's a little both. Like I have a friend who's going through divorce right now. And they both have lawyers and I'm sure going to get uglier before it's going to get better.
Yeah.
And you're right. They sandbag the shit out of everything.
They do.
They want to make as much as they can make on it.
They do.
And they do. So, but in this case, like they couldn't do it.
Good.
They have too much. There's a business, there's properties, there's a lot of shit that I think at the end it's better that they have lawyers. They're going to get fucked either way, but it's better so then everyone walks away a little cleaner. Although with you guys, like I think it's the best thing you can do to not have a lawyer because we didn't have anything. It was much easier. And at the end, no one's getting a big paycheck for giving you the same shit you were going to get anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so once you go to court, you guys finally get divorced, right?
Yep.
It's finished.
Yep. And that, and that process did take 2 years, to be honest. But when I got divorced the first time and we both had lawyers, guess how long it took?
Oh, I'm sure
2 years, same thing. So I paid those lawyers to do what I could do and what we did, Tina and I. So
we didn't know the date that our divorce was final until the day after the divorce was final. We got the papers the day after.
Because they tell you like, oh,
they
it was
tell
final.
You the actual date.
Yeah. I just found my divorce paperwork the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The day that we were actually divorced, we had gone out to lunch that day and spent a few hours, just talking and shooting the shit. We never went back on any sexual relationship ever. We just don't do that. But the day that we got divorced, we were actually sitting in a restaurant together, having appetizers and shooting the shit, and then got the paperwork. And I was like, oh, that's so crazy. We got divorced yesterday and it looked like kind of a mini celebration because we could sit and that was kind of weird. It was a weird coincidence, but that's where we were at when the divorce was final.
Yeah. And, one thing that, really worked out for me and us was that I, being retired, began to travel a lot. And I needed somebody here at home to watch the cats, feed the turtles, water the plants in the herb garden, in the snake, in the herd, in the heat of summer. Here somebody has to water those plants all the time. So it was super cool that Tina could do all that for me. And I didn't have to worry. I knew it was somebody I could trust, which, people questioned, like, how can you trust her? Because they know what typical divorces are like. But
right.
it worked out so good. My feeling was, hey, I trusted her before when we were married. I can trust her now when we're getting divorced because we just decided to do it that way.
But how did that conversation come to? So because for me, your relationship was already friendly. I mean, near the end of the divorce or the finality of it. Because to be able to ask somebody right away, like, hey, I'm leaving town. Can you watch the house?
I was watching the house before we were physically divorced.
True.
Yeah.
It was within the first year, 2021.
So I didn't want anybody in my house, to be honest with you. So for me, the start of it was, I don't want anybody else taking care of my cats and my plants and my house and my things. And I still had things here. So I don't know, that that made me uncomfortable. So I said, well, you're leaving. Do you want me to watch the house for you?
Okay.
And the cats, they're like your kids.
Right.
Yeah,
you can't leave your kids.
They were not anything I sought out to have. So they were my they found me. So I felt like even though we weren't together, there was still a sense of responsibility.
So it sounds to me, though, that you anchored the friendship well before the divorce was over, though.
True that.
We
True
anchored it, but I think we spent several years trying to fine tune it for sure.
That makes sense. I mean, because you're dealing with feelings, finality, a bunch of other things, but you were already anchoring this thing coming out of a divorce.
Yeah.
Which maybe is the way that we're trying to tell the listeners out there now is how to start this. If you want to have a decent relationship with your ex-husband or ex-wife after, anchor it well before you're done.
Well said, Rob. Well said. And as I mentioned earlier, it was in the first fall when Tina was still here, but we were on that path. We were getting divorced. We kind of made a vow. We said, hey, look, this is going to be super hard, but let's try to preserve our friendship above anything else. And we were able to. But to your point, yeah, we started that very early in the beginning and said, hey, this is our foundation. Do we agree? We're going to try this. And we knew people were going to tell us it's crazy. What are you doing? Why do you not have a lawyer? What? You know,
right.
But but we decided to do it anyway and take that approach.
And it took telling, I think it was mostly, I don't know what Jonathan's family or whatever told him, but my family definitely said, what the hell are you thinking? You got to do this. You got to do that. Like my dad and my brother said nothing because my dad told me, well, my dad said, I know that you're going to do what's best and I'm just going to support you. And my brother said, I know you got this. And that was it. Like he didn't have anything to say. My brother's not a big talker. Like,
right.
You know, but he was worried for me because he went through a rather sucky divorce himself. So he was concerned, but would never say anything ever. And they both really love Jonathan. So they stayed quiet. But everybody else was like, you better do this. You better. Even the people that didn't do that themselves in my family who took 5 in the ass, like they were the ones that were like, you have to do it this way. You have to do that. I'm like, no, I don't have to do anything. Thanks for your concern.
5 in the ass. I'm going to remember that one. That's a good one.
I don't use that term.
I like that. That's getting fucked hard.
I guess it would.
That's gnarly.
But I didn't want to be. You know what it did? It wasn't that important anymore. I think at the point when divorce occurs, like for me, nothing was important anymore because it was all breaking apart. So it was like, why fight over shit that doesn't matter? Why?
Yeah. Well, because at some point it's just stuff.
It was all stuff all along.
You know what I mean? So now you're out, right? You're both living new separate lives.
Yeah.
How did we refine this to become something that, I mean, obviously a very tight-knit friendship. Mm-hmm. Like, and obviously you have that during your relationship, but it didn't seem to like disintegrate during the divorce. I'm sure it had its issues, but it didn't disintegrate.
I think for me, I felt like that I had to prove to him I would still do that. Like I had to still, I don't know. I just did it to prove to him I could.
Well, you did.
Do you think you did it to prove it to yourself as well?
Oh, no. I know that when I love somebody, I love them forever. I mean, I'm friends with people I've known since I was 2. Like, I don't get rid of good people.
Right.
If they want to stick around, they'll stick around. He's a good person. I didn't feel the need to like, I don't know, like if you put every memory that you have with some person in your hand, mm-hmm. Are they good? Are they keeping your hand up or are they bad and they're weighing your hand down?
Right.
We had our issues. We had some big issues.
Right.
But if you put those in your hand and you got all the good ones in the other, we're good friends.
Right.
We're good people.
Yeah. And here's the funny thing, the joke that I tell that I always laugh when I tell it because it's so true. And it is what I realized that getting divorced saved our friendship.
It totally did.
It did. We weren't tangled up in other things and the being angry with each other, miserable in life or whatever. We could let that go, put it behind us. And then we brought it all the way around to being friends again. And that's how we started as friends. So to me, that was a victory to not destroy a friendship over a divorce. And it was not easy. And what we realized too, and what we knew is people who get divorced and they hate each other, that's easier because they're pushing each other apart. They're not sorry, they're not so sorry of their loss. But when you're trying to be friends, you're going to come face to face with that feeling of loss, and you don't have that hate to push you apart anymore.
Right.
So yeah, it was a tough journey.
Also, I've learned through going through stuff like this is that if you really love somebody and you want to love them, you want them to be happy. Like, despite what you go through with a person, if you really love them, if you want unconditional love with a person, you have to love them for all of who they are, their shortcomings and whatnot. And, it's weird because everybody goes, oh yeah, you'll be friends until he finds a girlfriend or whatever. And I'm like, it's funny you should say that, because I had a dream about this exact thing. Like, he was coming with his new girlfriend to my house for whatever holiday it was. And the doorbell rang and I opened the door and it was him. And I'm all, hey, how you doing? And like give him a hug and a kiss like I normally would. And then he walks past and then there's this woman there. And I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. And I gave her a hug and walked her past, and because there was people behind them this is all in my dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to keep greeting people as they were walking through. But as he was walking away with his girlfriend, I heard him say, hey, you might want to talk to her about me. She might give you some good insight. And I heard that, but I kept helping the people that were coming in. And I woke up thinking about that. And I was like, that is totally me.
Yes.
Like, I think that because of having unconditional love, because of loving him, regardless of what we've been through, if he needed help with that, nobody knows how to talk to him better than I did. I had to learn his language.
Right.
And that was not easy, being a hairdresser to an engineer. Like, and he's an extreme engineer and I'm an extreme creative person. Like, we're both opposite ends of the spectrum. So I really, being 12 years younger than him, I felt like I had to keep up always. And because he's brilliant, his mind is brilliant. It's like way beyond how I am. Like, we're different people.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to learn how to talk to him and how to maneuver around him and how to deal with his quirks and his.
What? I don't have any quirks.
You couldn't even hold a baby when I met you. Like, he held a baby like it was like dirty laundry. It was hilarious.
I didn't want to break it. I've never held a baby before. It was wow.
And I grew up like I was the ultimate babysitter. I started babysitting at 10. People were leaving me overnight with 5 kids and a baby with colic at 10 years old. I guess that's child abuse now, but that's just the way it was back in the day. And so I was completely the opposite. But that's how we were with everything. Everything was so incredibly opposite that I had to learn to speak his language.
Right. Let me just see it from my side for just a second, though. Just so it's funny that you said what you said, Jonathan, about that you had to get divorced to keep your friendship. Just so you know, it's been said on this show many times before by Tina. So
how about that?
Just to back that up, it's funny for me to be kind of in the middle ground of hearing both of you speak now, because lots of things have been said. We've brought up your guys' marriage before, lots of things, because obviously we talk about us on this show. So, we all have quirks to a degree. You're right. The engineer thing, one of my good friends, her ex-husband was an engineer, and she had very similar issues where you guys just think differently, and it's the truth.
We do. Of course we do.
Yeah.
All logic.
Well, we argued about that on the show, that I think that we talked about how men and women are different and how men think logically and women think with emotion. And it's a very true thing. And then you add engineer and it's a logic turned to 1,000.
And he was a quality engineer. So he could nitpick to the nth degree. Like, you just have never seen somebody do that.
That's
and
true.
As a wife, I felt like I was kind of under a microscope like that. Not all the time, but at times.
Right.
And it was very hard to keep up with that level of
perfection.
Yeah. It was hard.
I tried to be reasonable, but yeah, it did affect me, my career and my, obsessive work to keep things perfect and fix all problems and make them absolutely finely engineered. Yeah, it did, somewhat bleed into my home world as much as I tried not to, but yeah.
There's no way it couldn't happen.
Do you think that it took more work after to keep the friendship going, or did you find it easy?
It was easier because we didn't have the same kinds of issues that we got tangled up in while being married, that over time, as we, got separated and divorced and came to terms again, now it's easier to be friends. We don't stumble on things that we did when we were married. So it's actually easier. But it did take some years to, come to terms with all that.
It took some consistency for us to let down our guard. We had to be consistent with each other. We had to really mindfully tell each other what we were doing, that we weren't going to fight, that we weren't going to, we had to, we kind of had to put each other's fears aside to a degree. And so that took some time, because consistency is built over time, and we had to do that. But for me, I always liked this guy. Like I could sit and talk. We have nerd talk. We do the same thing we did when we were married, about catching up on people in his life, people in my life, keeping up on things that are going on at the house or with the animals or with his family, with my family, with each other. Like, he's been sick and I've had to come over and been like, I'm just going to sit here with you. And because I know he won't ask for help, but when he needs it, like, how do you say no? I was in a car accident. He brings over a car for me to use. He didn't have to do that.
Right.
Or he was going to pick me up actually from the crash site, but they towed me and got me off. But he would have been there when nobody else was. My dad was doing chemotherapy. My brother was an hour in the opposite direction in the traffic I was creating from the accident. So I called him and I said, hey, this is what's going on. He's like, where are you? I'm on my way. Like, right. He didn't have to, but he was ready to go.
Right. Because I think that there's love in your heart regardless. Like, I always tell people about my ex, and I've been divorced 16 years now. I'm not in love with my ex-wife, but there's love for her. She's the mother of my child. Mm-hmm. If she called me in desperation, I would help her, because it's her.
Good man.
because it's the right thing to do.
Right. I mean, and there's years of relationship there that meant the world. Right.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah. Now, do I care what she does in her daily life right now? No, because she has her own daily life. But yeah, I think that there's with a lot of people in my life that I had serious relationships with, I would be there for them because they mean something to me. I find it just very interesting that you guys found a way to really kind of cross a bridge that most divorced people cannot do. It's pretty interesting from my point of view, being the guy that's like, okay, because I've heard horror stories from both sides, both sides of the fence. Just how, both sides lay landmines down. They hope they fail. They can't wait to, push buttons, like all kinds of crazy shit, where I just don't have that in me. Like I just don't. It's hard enough to have a relationship with somebody. I don't want to just keep pushing their buttons.
Yeah.
So what would you say to do, though, if one of your friends came to you and is going through a divorce of, 10, 15 years, a good, solid marriage, what would you tell them to do?
Good question. I would tell them, do your best to not destroy your relationship just because you're angry. Don't destroy it because you're hurting. Try to somewhere look and see the goodness that you have in that relationship and treasure the good times and start with that. And if possible, try to come to an agreement in the beginning to preserve the friendship.
I would say you gotta check your ego completely, both of you. You know, it sucks for both of you. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna go through tons of things that you didn't even think you were gonna go through. But at the end of the day, like, if this is a person that I chose to be with, like through thick and thin. Now, we did it for 22 years. We were together 22 years and we managed to always do that. So I didn't feel like I wanted to do it a different way because I had to learn when I got with him, we used to have some crazy ass screaming fights and I would just be pissed off and just want to, he used to be crazy for a long time. I every month it seemed like I wanted to just go home and say, fuck this. I can't do it. And I was very vocal about it. Through dealing with him, that wasn't the way to deal with it because as soon as I get emotional, he checks out. You know, it's just not what he wants to do and he's not going to do it. So that was never going to fix anything.
Are you saying I wasn't going to get engaged in some unnecessary drama?
No, you were going to check out because you checked out. Like, you did not engage. I will give you that, but you checked out. So I had to find, like I said, I had to learn a language of how to approach him in a way. And what I learned with him personally is that I had to be completely vulnerable. No screaming, no calling names, telling him how I felt, but doing it in a way that wasn't emotional, but extremely raw. Because if that was the only way that I could tell him how I felt, he's going to get all the frustration, all the hurt, all the everything in my words. But it couldn't be where I was throwing shit at him at all. This is what I am feeling because of this situation. And so I learned how to talk to him, which, you know, calling your husband, even your ex, a motherfucker, or get the fuck out of here, you asshole, or who, it's not going to solve anything. Because I think all guys check out when they start hearing that, or they want to punch you. There's one or the other, you know? Right. So I just had to take my emotions out of it and start looking at how he was feeling too. Because there was another side of the story. And our stories are very different. We're engineer to hairdresser. So our stories and the way we dealt with things and how we looked at things and even being a man and wife are different. Like we have different stories. So I always put in mind that he had a different experience and I couldn't negate the fact that he was having something, even if I thought it was bullshit, I couldn't negate that. That was his experience. And I had to respect that as well. It was not easy. It's not easy.
Not easy at all. One thing I would add to your question there, Rob, is that people have to be really careful when they're going through divorce, not to really take direction or listen to other people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because people told both of us, each of us separately, all kinds of things they thought we should do. And what are we doing it? Are you crazy? Yeah, there was a lot of that because people could not believe it. Really, they couldn't believe it.
Stay in your house 4 months out of the year after you just got her out of your house in a divorce? Like, are you crazy?
Right? It sounded crazy. And people thought I was fooling myself.
She's going through your stuff. She's into all your
sure. Like, how can you trust her? Like, you should never do that. And because they couldn't. They just didn't know Tina like I did.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the experience
I
of that.
didn't go through his shit when I lived here. Why would I go through it when I don't? Like, What am I going to find? He may be dating somebody. Ooh, well, he can. We're not together. So do I need to hear about that? I can't wait until I do because I'm ready for it. Like, I do want to know that he's got somebody that's taking care of him and he's happy. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool to pass the torch. You know what I mean? I don't have any. And if she needed help, I would be the one to call because nobody struggled more to live in this life than I did.
Right.
with him.
And look, like, I understand that side of the thing too, where like, do I want it, in my face every day that they're dating somebody? No, but that's reality. And if I think that's the first part of divorce that you really have to kind of let sink in, is that they're not going to be with you anymore. And it's hard, but that's real. If you look at your life, mostly if you're separated for a long period of time before the divorce, if you've been separated over a year and a half, it's over. It's done. Like, there's no fixing it. You can't go back and put glue on it. So start looking at the reality. And I've told friends that are getting divorced, like, are you going to be okay when your husband starts dating somebody? And they were like, well, I don't know. And I said, well, you should already. You've been gone this long. If you're thinking about dating someone, or you are dating someone, they're going to do the same. Be okay with it, because you've already decided you don't want to be with them.
And if you ever love the person, you don't want them to be, like he described, alone and frustrated and lonely and feeling like he's not a part of anything. If you've ever loved somebody, you don't want them to go through that.
No, you end up going to a dark place.
Right? You don't want that. I mean, I had to talk to him a couple times. I'm like, is your alcohol thing going okay? Because I don't want me to be the reason.
Well, sure.
You know what I mean? And I don't want him to have a reason. That's bullshit. He's a smart man. If he's got something he needs to talk about, I'm the perfect one to do it with, because I talk to everybody about everything. So, but say something, don't use alcohol. And that's kind of what I told him when I noticed. And I don't even think it was that big of a deal. I don't even know. But I made sure I told him it better not be, because.
Well, it kind of helped to know somebody was keeping a check on me.
Yeah.
And so as much as I did myself, and I, worked myself through the cycle and came back to normal, should we say, and didn't fall in the pit of emotional abyss. Thanks for, she was keeping an eye out for me. And like you said, if at one time you cared about the person and loved them, then don't destroy that through a divorce, right? If you can preserve the good memories, the goodness you got from the relationship, which what we learned, what each of you learned, and become a better person by moving on and giving each other the freedom, and continue to give them the respect and freedom as friends beyond the marriage.
I told Tina a bunch of times, like, I have a weird story with my parents, because when they got divorced, my dad ended up meeting somebody and my mom got married several times after that. But there was a point where my dad was married and my mom was remarried to a person my age.
Oh my.
And my dad and my stepmom, well, my stepmom's also 20 years younger than my dad. So
okay.
It was like a fucking Jerry Springer episode. But they got invited to Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner every year.
Oh boy, really?
And it was great. So like when me and my ex-wife got divorced, I made sure that my son understood that your mom's a great person. I tried to lay those things down so the people on the outside understand. It's like, you have a child who's older, and kind of like, well, mine was young when we got divorced. So, but I have a friend who's going through a divorce right now, and all her kids are in their 20s. It's like, they're adults. These are adult people. They need to understand the reality of a divorce. Now, I hope you can keep a friendship with your ex to the point where you're happy that there was somebody and your other people are happy, because the kids will be happy. And to think that they're not going to be okay with someone being with their parent after is absurd. Like, my son digs her husband, doesn't call him dad, but they have a great relationship. Shouldn't. Oh, absolutely.
He's not the dad.
Right. But these are the things that I think friendship is what matters. The whole base of your marriage was a friendship at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It has to be.
It has to be.
That's where it goes.
Because everything is not fucking roses and sex. It's just not.
No.
It's a great part of it. But my big statement now is you have to be in love the most in the boring times. Because boring times are 75% of your relationship. And what I mean by boring is
the non-sex times.
Yeah,
the routine. The routine,
the sitting on the couch and watching a show, sharing, cooking dinner, whatever it is. Most people think that that's a boring part of life, but that is life.
Yeah.
So you have to be friends in that kind, because this is where you're talking about what's going on in the world. Your job is shitty. Did you hear the news? All these reality parts of life. So find the person that you can be friends with, have a relationship with. And if it goes to shit, that you can still see the friend part that is still there where the romantic part fades.
Agreed.
Oh,
Totally.
good point. Well said.
I remember when we were married, Saturday afternoons, I'd be like, hey, don't eat. Let's go out to lunch after this. And we had our little like date time. And that was like some of my favorite time with him, because it was just he and I. And we'd go out and grab some lunch and we'd talk. And he was normally like more even keeled coming off of work, because it was Saturday, not Friday night.
Sure.
And we would go out to lunch and stuff. And I don't know, it was like a peaceful time. We always had like a good time doing that. And it was funny because one of my friends that I talk to all the time, she goes, you still get your Saturday lunch date, like where you shoot the shit and go out to lunch. And she goes, how did you manage to keep that? Because she always thought that was cute that we did that on Saturdays. But once I was done with work, it was weekend time, Let's
no, but you guys make that work.
We did.
No, you still make that
we
work.
Do.
We do. Yeah.
So, I mean, because I'm trying to look at it for the people who are listening to this, to like from the outside looking in, like it's easy for you guys to go, oh, it just fucking works. But you make that work.
It was a lot of work to get here.
It was a constant choice every day.
You're right.
To choose to be good to him and for him to be good to me. It was
right.
It was an everyday choice, whether we were married or not. It was an everyday choice. And trust and believe, we had our bad days. We had our, man, I want to kick his ass right now. He's driving me crazy. Like, I know personally, I'm just speaking of myself. I had those days, but really, was it that bad? Right.
But check it out now. We don't fight about anything anymore.
Well,
we got nothing to fight about.
To disagree, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's go home.
No, we get along better now.
We do.
We don't have any stumbling blocks. I want to come back to something I said earlier where I cautioned about listening to people and they're trying to tell you advice what to do in a divorce. So yeah, do listen to them. And I do want to thank a few people, just to say I had some good friends who gave me good support during that process, and some good guidance, some good advice. My family was pretty good about it. So, listen to everyone and find the friends that'll give you that good support without the judgment. And they won't be the ones like telling you what they think you should do, but the ones that will they know you're going through a process. They just will help you get through that process. So thanks to the few friends that I had that were really helped go through those dark times. Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad you had that for sure. Because you couldn't come to me for that. That was not going to be something I could fix.
Right. I couldn't now come to you for the emotional support when I'm in the process of, cutting it off.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, there was that.
I didn't really take anybody's advice.
My thing is I think you should always listen. Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Listening, because for one, venting fucking helps.
It does. Sometimes, at the right time.
Matter of fact, I did to you.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Always listen to your friends, but remember the ones that after you don't take their advice, still support you.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the important ones. The ones who shit on you after they give you advice and they're like, well, I told you to do this and you didn't. Well, no, I'm going to do what I'm going to do regardless. I want to listen to other people's words because people who've been divorced have a different outlook on what happens. I'd rather have the information in my head and go, oh, they went through this and fuck, they went through it and they went through it. Maybe I will remember this if this comes up. Yeah. But I'm still going to do what the fuck I want because at the end, it's my life that I have to deal with my ex with.
And you have to live with all the consequences. They're all yours. They're
correct.
Nobody else's.
No, but what I'm trying to say there is that, like, in your case, if all my friends around me don't like that I'm friends with my ex-husband or ex-wife, then fuck them. My relationship with them is what it is. If it's a great friendship and you can go to lunch and you can walk your separate ways, or if Jonathan has to call you in the middle of the night because he's arguing with his new girlfriend and said, what do you think I should do? Whether he takes your advice or not is irrelevant. He needs someone there, and you're that kind of friend that can still support him. Mm-hmm. Where most people need to come out of divorces this way. You have to, that's why I'm trying to say that the backbone of everything is a friendship, even in marriage. Because at the end, when you're 70 and shit doesn't work anymore and you're not having sex, guess what you have to do? You better be friends with somebody.
Yeah. Because you're going to be looking at them or the TV.
Because that's it. Because that's all you got.
Yeah.
And a friendship will get you to death.
Yeah.
So I respect what you guys do, because it's difficult to do what you guys do. And it's really kind of an anomaly in the scheme of things. I mean, how many people do you know that do this?
It is, if you don't know the type of people that we are. Neither one of us are really quitters. Like, we'll go to our death trying to be there and to support and to do. As a person, we're that way. So it makes sense that it carries into our friendship, that because we're not one to quit.
Right, but it's an anomaly in life. Yeah. It's not an anomaly between you two, because you both know who you are.
Yeah.
I'm from the outside looking in. Most people would think you're psycho.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know what? When my friend died, I could call him and say, hey, my friend died. And he knows exactly what that person meant to me. He knows exactly when that person was in my life.
Right.
He knows all of it. Like, who can I tell if not him?
Right.
So why would I want to cut that off? Like,
exactly.
And that's what people need to remember. Like, when you cut that off, it's gone. There's no fixing it. There's no, you're not going to get that back. Like, he's had to call me because he's like, I can't remember. I don't remember what it was. It was a couple of years ago.
And it's irrelevant.
And I'm like, hey, it's such and such. And he's like, yeah, that's right. Oh, do you remember? We had a little conversation. We got off the phone and my life went back to my life and his life went back to his. And divorce had no touch on it.
So where you sit right now, if, again, we've talked about like the basis of keeping this friendship. What do you do now to actually make it known to other people that they can do it? Like, what would you, obviously people come to you and they see what you're doing, right? Mm. But if someone came to you and said, look, my ex wants to rekindle our friendship, how do I do this with no sexual innuendos or conduct or anything? How do we keep this really cool thing we have the way we both need it to be? Because of, let's say one has a mate and one doesn't, or, because it's got to be difficult from the standpoint of, if you both had mates, how they're going to see it.
I had a dream, so I know exactly how I'm going to see it. And
okay, but
I really
there's
do.
reality involved in that.
I've never been one to be jealous. My mom always told me that jealousy was a sickness, and if you have it, you need to check yourself. Like, she was always insistent from the time I was very little until she died that you are not supposed to act like that fool, because if you were with somebody that made you jealous, that you were with the wrong person. And Jonathan didn't make me feel jealous. Like, I felt like my home was where it was, and he gave me that respect. And so I didn't have to have the jealousy with him. And I know where my home is with him now. It's not here. There's no rings on our fingers. There's no commitment, but we found that we could just, I don't know, get past our bullshit. You just got to check your ego.
It's a metaphorical.
Yeah. So in a sense, I was going to say to answer Rob's question, checking of the ego is part of it. Letting go of hurt, letting go of the anger, choose some kindness. And if your mate is willing, or your soon-to-be ex-spouse, see if you can agree to preserve the friendship through the long and difficult ride of getting divorced. And what I would say to people who either they're getting divorced or they're married and they're coming to the point where they're thinking maybe that's the way to go. If you have to, let divorce save your friendship. It is possible. And I think to all the naysayers, Tina, we have now demonstrated it. We're kind of far out on the other side of the divorce.
We're 5 years out.
And we can, we got
Almost
everything.
6.
We got everything done, is executed, and we could be friends and try to preserve the friendship and the goodness that you had in the times when you were married. Hold on to the good times, what you learned, and just let go of all the other stuff. Let go of the crap.
He raised me like I was. I tell people, I said I was really not ready to be an adult at the time. I tell my friends I was a little feral, and I was always out and doing my thing and having fun and not worrying about anybody but me and just trying to figure out who I was. And then I met him, and he was 12 years older, and he had a different point of view, and he has a brilliant mind. And I would sit there and listen to him and go, I've never even thought about this shit before. So he taught me so much. And I raised a kid with him. So we have experience I won't have with anybody else. Like I don't want another freaking kid to raise. Like that's not going to happen. And, I don't know. We had a life that we had to, if we wanted to talk about it, if we wanted to say, hey, look, good job, we did it. We had to check our egos at the door. And that took some work. But if you ever love somebody, you should love them enough to let them go. Because if you're not happy together, it's not going to go anywhere. And truly, unconditional love means you'll love them enough to let them go so they can find it elsewhere.
Right. What's that old expression? If you love something, set it free.
Mm-hmm.
And that ultimately was, part of the transformation of becoming divorced and giving somebody freedom, not trying to hold on or fight them for it. Just let them become the new person. And then in that new world post-divorce, see if you can still be friends with that new person.
And the good thing is, his family's all on the East Coast. He doesn't have any family that lives here in California. I'm going to be the first person that gets called if something were to happen. And if he's in the hospital, and I know that he knows, I would probably take care of him better than anybody of his family, because that's just the person he's seen me be. And that's the person I show up as. So he's actually kind of lucky he's got me in that respect, and look, he already demonstrated that. I got in the car accident and he had that car right there for me. So we have the best of the world that we chose to make.
Well, and sure. And it does go both ways. There have been many times I had to call Tina over because I got a splinter in my foot.
Right.
I can't get out.
Right.
Yeah, I can give her the call and she literally will come over and take the splinter out of my foot. So I appreciate that. There's just some little things really can make a big difference.
I mean, it says a lot that you guys are sitting at a table with microphones in front of you talking about.
Yeah, because when I first met him, he wouldn't talk about, you don't tell anybody I'm having this procedure. Don't tell anybody I had a headache. He was very don't tell anybody anything. And now he's on my podcast, which I kind of had to stop and go, wait, what do you got? What's the problem? What do we need to talk about before this? Because we have not sat down and talked divorce at all. We did it a couple nights ago and I was kind of frustrated with him when I left. I'm not going to lie. But that's probably why I threw up today. But I get here and I'm like, I'm not frustrated with him because he didn't say anything that wasn't true.
Well, because you're friends.
Because we're friends. Yeah.
I think the biggest outlier of this is that you're sitting down together talking.
Yeah.
People who aren't friends wouldn't do this.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, we might do it over the internet where you don't have to worry about seeing somebody.
No, there was no slingy posts even over the years. We talked about when we were going to say that we weren't together anymore. Like, how on Facebook, how it says that. When do we know that we're single?
Right. It's like celebrities.
We talked about that, though. What do we do?
Yeah,
do we make an announcement on Facebook that, hey, by the way,
we just kind of snuck it in very quietly and hope nobody noticed.
You have to have your agent put out a press release.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be the one bearer of bad news because I'm going to ask you a question that you probably, both of you don't want to hear, but I think this is something that needs to be said. If and when you are with people and they say they don't want you to talk, what would you do?
How do you mean don't want us to talk?
You mean we're dating somebody and they don't want us to
You're in a relationship with somebody, a solid, grounded, not dating. I mean, you're now both in a relationship of months, maybe close to a year. Again, hypothetically. And they go, I really don't like you going to lunch with him.
No.
And again, this is hypothetical because I think I already know the answer, but I think people need to hear this because here's the thing. If I'm dating someone and we have a great relationship and we break up and we see each other every blue moon and my girlfriend goes, I really don't want you to see her. I'm going to go, no. Like, look, if it was to preserve a marriage, maybe, but I think I would just take my girlfriend with me or take my mate with me and say, look, like this is it, because jealousy rears its ugly head generally with people. And most people can't handle you too. This type of thing. And again, this is all hypothetical because who knows? Neither of us know until it happens. But, you know, what do you think you would do, I guess is the better question.
That's a good question. I'd have to give that some thought.
Yeah, I think it's hypothetical, right?
I think for Jonathan, because of how he used to be and only how he used to be, I think I would just see him less. He would just kind of probably fade away because that's what he did.
But I think that's what most people would do is just slightly. But look, I'll give you an example. My biggest example for me, like I do photography, right? And I take pictures of half naked girls.
Yeah.
A lot.
You do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah. So, and I was talking to somebody about that. And I said, would it make you feel uncomfortable that if I still shot? And she was like, well, and I said, what if you came to the shoots all the time with me? Because I don't care. It's like, I don't go to them. They're not for dates. They're work. And they are a lot of work. And she was like, oh yeah, that would be better. Cool. Because I think that if you have a good relationship with somebody, you want to keep it, both sides. You want to keep this friendship regardless of what happens with both of you in the future. So, and again, I don't want to put you under the fire because like it doesn't happen. My thing, and I'm just going to tell you what I would do. Keep your friendship regardless. Take your mate with you if they have to, because the reality is that friendship is a friendship and your mate should understand going with it.
Nobody's going to tell me that I can't be friends with him. And you knew that answer was coming because of who I am as a person. People don't get to tell me who I can and can't be friends with.
Yes.
And I don't think I would be with somebody that would try to control me to that degree. I would probably find someone that would be like, okay, this is her ex. And, he comes over or, even better, I could see that whomever I find at some point would be like, yeah, Jonathan's cool people. And
exactly.
And, we could be cool. And, I'm okay with it. I would not allow I don't allow anybody to try to control anything anyway.
Yeah.
So,
and that's where I'm coming from too. After, having been through marriage and then got divorced and found the freedom, it's important to keep friendships. And I just wouldn't let anybody tell me I shouldn't see you. And that's kind of a ground rule from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I tell my friends, hey, I'm still friends with my ex. And, the funny thing, like let's say a couple of years ago, trying to date for the first time, you know what you don't say to a new prospect date? Oh, well, first you don't say I'm getting divorced right away. Right. That's like, okay, forget it. That's not happening.
Yes.
And if you're foolish enough to say that, don't say we're still friends. It's over. The date's over. Yeah. There's going nowhere. And I say this in jest, but it's kind of true. And I said that to everyone. True. I said, look, we're friends and we're going to be friends. She lives nearby. We actually didn't destroy our friendship when we got divorced, and I'm still friends with her family. I love them. They're still my family, my in-laws. And, it kind of has to proceed on that basis.
Right. And I think at some point you should just say, we don't sleep together.
Well, that's good to say. That is good to say.
That would entangle so much drama that I don't know that I don't think we'd be as good of friends.
Right. And I think time in and time out make a difference.
Time heals all wounds.
Right. So,
it does.
22 years of marriage and 5 years of divorce is time. So the time in is we have a relationship, family, all these things. And then time out is it's been 5 fucking years.
Mhm.
Like if we were going to make it work, we would have made it work in year 1.
Yeah,
Like,
and we're not messy. I mean, there's no mess between. Like,
well, that's what I mean, though.
We're
Like,
not messy people.
it's just that the reality of being out of a relationship so long
Yeah.
is like if we were going to try this, we would have tried it before. You know what I mean? Like it's just I can see where people would just go, yeah, it's been done, or you get you should see them together because there's
a trip.
There's nothing there. You know what I mean? Like you can tell people who mostly divorced couples that maybe it didn't end great, but they still put a relationship together. And you can tell that there's not heat between them, but there's definitely not any attraction whatsoever. They're like, oh yeah, that's my ex-wife and her husband.
Yeah.
And then you just keep going on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. You can take your son anywhere. It's fine. Because they can see that there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So, all in all, we can try to wrap this up.
One more thing I want to say is if you want to know what type of person you're dating when you date me, wouldn't you want to know that I have a good relationship with my ex just because that means I'm more of a committed person that I'll stick it out.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
regardless. So I always say that. I'm like, if you're worried about that, then
Well, good point.
That is
Good
a
point
good-
there.
That is kind of a good point.
That is some
Right?
credentials, right? That you're not about destroying relationships.
Yeah.
no.
That you can handle.
Especially
it.
like if I find you to be a good person, you should really stick around because I'm a good person and I take care of good people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't burn down the house on the way out.
Nah,
Yeah.
but if you want to, I'll give you the match. Like,
I mean,
whatever you want to
yeah.
do, the choice is yours.
Some people need to burn the house down on the way out.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
there's sometimes,
For
but you know
sure.
what? I'm actually really thankful I was able to participate in this show, and I feel like our story, maybe could help some people out there in the listener audience
Absolutely.
that might possibly consider not destroying their relationship and thinking it's possible to get divorced and don't destroy your friendship.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, and I think at the very end of the spectrum is that if you have, children or family you want to make sure that they see not to destroy their shit that they're going to get into.
Yeah.
This
exactly.
it's
Lead by example.
It's fucking Lion King, man. It's the circle of life. At the end of the day, my parents got divorced and had a good relationship. I got divorced with my wife. My son sees that me and his mom can still be on the same page.
Right?
When he gets into a relationship, something happens, he'll do the same.
Yes.
These
It's
are-
leading by example.
It's building blocks for the future. And you guys are just showing other people that, look, they got out of it okay.
Everybody lives.
that it's possible, as impossible as it seems,
Yeah.
that it's actually possible.
Yeah, because when it's happening, you don't feel like it's possible.
Oh, that weight
Yeah.
that sits on your shoulders that's like black and just all
Yeah.
the negative things you can think of. It's horrible to sit in that.
Absolutely.
I was so grateful that I could put it down and just be like, I already got enough feelings to deal with and just going through the divorce. But I'm glad I didn't have all that resentment and hatred and regret. And I didn't have any of that. And thankfully I didn't, because it saved my heart,
That's a plus. All right. So, Jonathan, here on the show, we give a last word. So we're going to give it to you today, and then we'll go over to Tina. What's your last word?
My last word is it's been a pleasure to be on this episode of How to Get Divorced and Not Destroy Your Friendship.
Perfect. Tina.
It's still hard, but you got to do what you got to do to make it work. So you got to put the ego down and just do the work every day.
And I'll just say, listen to you too, because I think that there's a lot that came out of this, and people really just need to see the reality of what happens after divorce.
Yeah,
For sure.
So you can check us out on pretty much any podcasting. We're Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. All our social medias. I'm doing really good in updating them, and I'm pretty proud of myself. Oh, and there's going to be a new logo. I'm sure if you're listening to this, it should be there with our pretty pictures on it.
It's awesome.
So you know what we look like now. And it's an opinion show. Don't get it twisted. Keep coming back every Wednesday. For Tina, I'm Rob. We'll see you in a week. Thanks.
See ya.